back to my channel, Eldon Acres. My name is Andrea. I think I forgot to introduce myself in the last video, so sorry about that. My name is Andrea and welcome to my channel. I appreciate you being here very much. Today we are going to make some healthy-ish zucchini muffins. So I have a ton of zucchinis coming out of the garden right now. So I figured why not go ahead and turn them into some delicious muffins that we can enjoy for breakfast and for healthy snacks throughout the day. Typically when I do any baked goods like this, I would double or triple the recipe. That's kind of like a little trick that I was taught years ago. You know, if you're getting everything out once, you might as well triple it and then throw them in the freezer and you've got lots of snacks for weeks to come. Today we're not going to do that because I've already shredded the zucchini. I've got it ready to go here, and the rest of my zucchinis that are in the garden aren't quite ready to come out. I processed I think 6 the other day. They were very, very large. So I went ahead and I shredded them and put them in freezer bags and popped them into the freezer, and we'll use those in the coming months for baked oatmeal for breakfast, more muffins. I like to add it into chili or spaghetti sauce, lots of stuff like that. So unfortunately I didn't think too far ahead in that aspect, but that's okay. We'll still enjoy these muffins and they'll be great. I don't know if you saw in the beginning of the video today that I had a video of our little chicks up there. Well, a hen and a chick. They're so funny. They are just so curious. They want to know everything that I'm doing. We have, I don't know, maybe 20 birds, including our goose and our guineas and our rooster. And I just love them so much. They bring so much joy. It's a bonus that they give us some eggs, but I just love watching them. They have a run and then their chicken coop, but I typically let them out to free range as long as I'm home. In the past, we had an unfortunate incident where either a fox or a coyote got a few of our birds, so I only let them out to free range if I'm home. If I'm not home, they stay in their run, which is fine. It's just not as nice, of course, as free ranging. They've got all their food and water in there, so they come and go as they please, but it's just so much nicer if they can be out free ranging. So that's what they're doing now. My dogs, we have a German Shepherd and a German Shepherd cross, and it took them a while to kind of get used to the chickens, but now they just like watching them, and I feel a little bit better if I'm home. My dogs are outside. We've got you know, a decent amount of property here that they can also free range, and we're a ways off the road, so our property is fenced, so we don't worry too much about the dogs. They usually bark to alert me if somebody's here, but it makes me feel better having them also outside while the chickens are outside. I don't think any predators would enter our yard if the dogs were out there. So anyways, let's get going with our muffins today. So in this bowl, I have already measured out our flour. So for this recipe, you can use either whole wheat or all-purpose. I chose to use whole wheat today. I had whole wheat, and again, trying to make them as healthy as possible. Before I forget, we need to go ahead and preheat the oven. So we're going to preheat the oven to 350 degrees. And you'll notice in my house a lot of the appliances are much older. So we've got an older fridge, we've got an older oven, what do you call this, a range? No, it's not a range, a flat top? I'm not sure what you call it. But anyways, we purchased our house about 6 years ago, and they remodeled it. I think it was about 10 years before we purchased it. No, it had to be longer than that. Anyways, I'm not entirely sure the timeline, but when they remodeled it, they got all new appliances, so everything matches. You see this beautiful overhead range, the color, like that yellowy color, everything is the same. So our fridge looks like that, our dishwasher looks like that, even the washer and dryer in the basement. And I know they're ugly, but they work so well. I hate to get rid of any of them because they just don't make things like they used to. I know I sound so old saying that, but it is so true. We have had this fridge, again, I don't know how old it is, but it still works so, so good. We have an extra fridge in our back room for whatever, you know, leftovers, that kind of thing. And it's much newer, and we've actually had to replace it twice within the 6 years that we've been here. So I think that's a good testament to our old fridge and other appliances. Just thought I'd mention that. Okay. Okay, so to our whole wheat flour that we have here, we are going to add 1 teaspoon of baking powder. And I think I told you this in my last video, but I'm not the best at following instructions. So this is one of my own recipes, so I pretty well know it off by heart, but I find every time I make it, I do it a little bit differently. It always turns out. So now we're gonna have a teaspoon of baking soda. And then for the next part, we are going to add half a teaspoon of salt. All right, so I think we will add our spices now. So typically the recipe that I have written out calls for 1.5 teaspoons of ground cinnamon and half a teaspoon of ground ginger. Now I found this amazing spice. It's by Paper Chef, so you don't have to use it, but I really like it. So it's called Cinnamon Plus, and it's actually a spice blend. It's got cinnamon, nutmeg, allspice, orange peel, cloves, and ginger. And anytime a recipe calls for cinnamon and ginger, I just automatically use this. I love this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do 2 teaspoons of the Cinnamon Plus, because originally the recipe would be 1.5 teaspoons cinnamon, half a teaspoon ground ginger. So we're just going to do the total of 2 teaspoons of the Cinnamon Plus and call it good. I will post this recipe below. I will write it out. I don't think I have it up anywhere. I'm working on a website, but I don't know anything about website building, so I'm trying to learn as we go, and it's a slow process. You can also go over to my Instagram page. I post all of my recipes over there too, and I post them so that you can screenshot them and save them or print them. So all of the recipes will be over there too, and that's just Instagram at Eldon Acres. You'll be able to find me there too. All right, so we have all of our dry ingredients here. We'll just give that a little bit of a mix. We're going to set this aside. I don't usually do this. Usually I just add my wet ingredients and my dry ingredients right to the same bowl, but for video's sake, I'm going to try and follow my directions. So we're going to set this aside, and then I'm going to grab the bowl from my stand mixer, and we'll put all the wet ingredients in there, and we'll use the stand mixer to do that part. And of course, if you don't have a stand mixer, just use another bowl. You can use a hand mixer if you'd like, or just by hand works too. Okay, so into the bowl of my stand mixer, I am going to add the wet ingredients. So we're going to start with 1 egg. And we're going to use the beautiful eggs that we collected this morning in our video. Those chickens, they're so funny. I have 4 that are broody. So what that means is they want to sit on eggs and they want to hatch them. And I don't want any more chicks. I had 3 that were kind of an accident this year. I knew that the chicken was sitting on them. I didn't need any more chicks, but it happened, so that's fine. And then I actually put a couple eggs from my guinea fowl into the incubator. I honestly didn't have high hopes for them, but I ended up with 3. So that's kind of exciting. I know not many people like guineas because they make very loud noise. I love having them around. They're like a security system. Anytime anybody comes to the house, if they're out and about and they know that, you know, a stranger is here or something, they just start like squawking away. So I just get a lot of joy from them. I think they're a lot of fun. I don't need more than 2, so I'm not sure what we're gonna do with an extra 3, but it is what it is. We've got the space here, so my husband wouldn't agree, but anyways. Okay, so we've got 1 large egg going in. And I didn't follow my rule. I don't have my garbage can out today, but that's okay. I always save the eggs to feed them back to my chickens. They have a lot of calcium in them, and that's really, really good for your chickens. So we've got our egg, now we're going to add our milk. You don't have to use homogenized, we just have homogenized because that's what we use for my daughter. So it's half a cup. That's good, so half a cup of milk. And then we also need half a cup of maple syrup. Set this over so you can see what I'm doing. And I have some locally made maple syrup here that I got. You can use any maple syrup, store-bought, works just fine. But I love this recipe because it doesn't use sugar. The sugar is the maple syrup, so it's a lot more healthy. So just to my milk, I'm gonna add the maple syrup. So again, it's another half cup. So that's gonna bring us up to 1 cup. Liquid gold, so delicious. There we go. Might have been a little heavy-handed, but that's okay. So we get that in with our egg. And then we need to melt some coconut oil. And I'll just do that in this jar, or this measuring cup, excuse me. And I believe it is 1/4 cup. I'm just looking back on my own recipe here. 1/4 cup of melted coconut oil. So we're gonna take our spatula. It seems to be working okay. I don't use a ton of coconut oil. I'm trying to start cooking more with it because I like that it's a healthier fat, and I love coconut flavor. If you see me swatting, it's because there's this one fly in my house. I hate flies. And this darn thing is just flying around. All right, so let's melt that. We'll see how much that puts us to. So I'm just gonna melt it 30-second increments and give it a stir. Okay, so I'm gonna add a little bit of the dry ingredients. Maybe half. And then I'm just gonna turn the stand mixer on low. We're gonna do that nice and slow. So that's starting to melt. I think we've got a little ways to go yet. Is looking good and melted. I know you can't see, but just about 1/3. So we're going to add that into our wet ingredients. Okay, make sure I haven't forgotten anything here. Yes, I have. We need to add the vanilla. So we're going to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And this is a double strength vanilla extract. Again, it's from Pampered Chef. I really like this one for baking. It is strong, so be careful. I'm gonna add the full teaspoon, but if you're someone that doesn't love vanilla flavor, I would maybe cut it back to half or 3/4 a teaspoon. All right. So that is our wet ingredients. I'm gonna put it onto the stand mixer here. I'm just going to scrape down the sides. And now we're going to add the zucchini and the rolled oats. Okay, so I've got my 1.5 cups of grated zucchini. There's no need to squeeze out the moisture. The moisture is going to help keep your muffins nice and moist. I've also got my 1/3 cup of quick oats. You can use old-fashioned oats. This is just what I have and it works perfectly. So we're just going to add both of those in, and then you're just going to put it on the stir. You don't want to overmix this part. Dump it all in. So we're just going to go nice and slow. And I think I'm going to do the rest with my spatula. Just making sure to mix from the bottom up. And I think we're going to call that good. Okay, so I've got my silicone muffin pan. I love these because they're just so easy. You don't have to use liners. I just spray it. Usually I use avocado oil, but I don't have any avocado oil today. I've got some canola oil, which will work just fine, just to make sure that they don't stick and they pop out nice and easily. I always put it on a cookie sheet. It just makes it easier to get them in and out of the oven. And they're pretty flimsy, so just kind of saves a step there. So we're just going to give them a spray. Now I got this silicone muffin cup on Amazon, so I can try to link it below if you'd like. I'm going to use my cookie scoop. Love this thing. I got this one from Pampered Chef. Pampered Chef should be the sponsor of this video. I used to be a Pampered Chef consultant, representative, whatever you want to call it. I love their product, but life just got busy, so I don't do that anymore, but I still really like their product and would reorder it anytime. So I've got all 3 of them. This is the largest one, and it just ensures that all of my muffins are a nice equal size. This is going to be a very moist muffin batter, and that's okay. That's exactly what you want. And I'm filling these muffin cups pretty full. That's all right. So this recipe should make 12 large muffins. I think I added a little bit more than the 1.5 cups of zucchini, so I'm just trying to make sure that I can just get it all done in one. If there's extra, that's okay. I'll do another round, but those are nice and full. Now sometimes I will put my chocolate chips right in them. The recipe doesn't call for it, but I'm highly suggesting it. I don't have a ton of chocolate chips left, just, you know, filled up to here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna put some on the tops. And make a big mess while I'm at it. There we go. Okay. So these guys are gonna go in the oven now. So they're gonna bake 350. We have the oven preheated and my recipe says 16 to 18 minutes. I think they'll probably be closer to 20 just because of how full they are, but I'll let you know. We'll be back when they come out of the oven. Okay, so we have our muffins out of the oven. Now, while they were baking, I went back on my footage and realized that I added too much coconut oil. So a combination of too much coconut oil and more zucchini than the recipe called for, I think made my muffins a little bit flatter than they should be. They're kind of like hard pucks, but they'll be fine. They'll still be tasty. We'll still eat them. They're not gonna go to waste. So what I'm gonna do is just take them out of the muffin tray. I'm gonna put them in a freezer bag and then we won't need to freeze them. I just reuse the freezer bags. It's just an easy way to store them. If by a couple days we have some left, I will pop them in the freezer just so that they don't go bad, but I don't think we'll need to do that. Let me take one out and show you. So they're just a little bit flat, which, what can you do? Oh, but they look so yummy. We will enjoy those. That worked out well. I just put them upside down and they popped right out. Okay, there we have it. 12 zucchini healthy-ish muffins. Well, that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. And of course, as always, thank you for being here and supporting my page. I hope to see you on the next video. Take care, friends.